Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the final word. The last one of the season, thankfully. Everton 1, Bournemouth 3. Could you ever imagine the day?
You know what? I saw a lot of people saying 3 months at Bournemouth before the game. I thought we'd win because I didn't think we'd have the balls to not turn up and show so much I know.
Awful, just an awful display. Listen, everything I suppose was stacked up against us in a way. Nothing to play for, no fans. Bournemouth needing to win, and everything stacked up for them to go and get a win. Really, when you think about it, listen, Carragher was doing the comments and he just kept on saying, "Who would you want more than anyone on the last day of the season?" And he was absolutely right.
Fair play to them. No, they deserved to win, didn't they?
Yeah. Oh, they came to win the game and they won the game, and you can't really say any fairer than that. You know, they had everything which we didn't. You know, intensity, numbers going forward. The irony is they didn't have a midfield either, but they didn't let that bother them because they stuck to their strengths, which was getting the ball wide, getting it to the fast players and trying to move it quickly. Yeah, they didn't have a midfield and we just thought, we'll just keep the ball at the back, it'll be sound.
I thought for the first time, Ancelotti got it massively wrong. That said all week, I thought we had to play 4-4-2 against them. Thought the formation didn't help anybody because they play 4-4-2. It's quite, structured what they do. And I think we just had players we just went through the motions, which wasn't acceptable. You could tell there was nothing on it for our players, and we would have needed the crowd to start screaming at them, really to wake them up a bit. If the crowd would have been there, if they'd have put a performance like that, and with no crowd, it's easy to walk around, which is what they did. But I just felt I'd like to have seen us play 4-4-2. I'd like to have seen someone partner Moise Keane, who I thought did well. We just couldn't get up the pitch enough. And in the second half, when we dominated and had the possession, we were still too deep anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think obviously he went for the 3 midfield because of what had happened to Sheffield United. But like you said, I don't think it was needed just because of the way they were going to play. And it just left Moise Keane isolated far too many times. And to be fair to the kid, he made the best of a bad situation. He put himself about. He was trying to cover the ground as much as he could, and he did that really well. But Richarlison, unlike the other night in Sheffield United, wasn't really getting involved. He just seemed to be stuck out on the left and couldn't get into the game. None of the midfielders were joining in. They didn't get into the game either. And it just left us for large amounts of the game just trying to play it out from the back. And then the ball just breaking down.
I thought we were better second half than we were first half, but they
got tired, didn't they?
They ran themselves into the ground, hadn't they? I mean, it got off to you could see within a minute or so that they were on it, weren't they, right from the first whistle, and we weren't. We were trying to feel our way into the game, and I don't think the bit of inside info, the sprinkler system wasn't working at Goodison and the pitch was dry, so we're trying to play out from the back and the ball wasn't making it. I mean, the first half, the stuff we were doing was just nonsense at the back. I mean, I've seen yesterday a couple of teams getting done with the same. Leicester done exactly the same, and a couple of other teams have done the same, trying to arse about with it at the back. We haven't got good enough players, then miss it out. And I think that's where, for me, the goalkeeper needed to take charge and just say to the 2 centre-backs, go away and knocking it long, because we're getting stuck in the first half especially. They almost committed man for man on the edge of our box, and you were like, well, right, so you've pulled everyone in, so knock it long.
Knock it. I mean, and that's what's most annoying about that is, I think there was one where he did tell everyone to go away, but that's not like that. When it's a goal kick, it's a static situation. It doesn't work like that. Like if you watch like Man City, what they're great at is doing that. He's dragging everyone in,
and then
giving it, and then getting it back to the keeper, and then the keeper. Jordan Pickford's supposed to have this fantastic range of passing, right? And I'm not being critical on this point of him, but he's supposed to have this fantastic range of passing. But if you don't set up situations where you can miss the midfield out, and he can just lump one into the midfield and find someone like City do, then what's the point of having any kind of range? His passes always seem to be like diagonals that go out wide, where surely you need someone in the midfield or even the centre forward to just drop in a little bit.
One of the best goals I've seen at Goodison was City, not last season, the season before. Gabriel Jesus headed it in at the park end, but they threw us in, and Ederson dinked it to the halfway line, and he got it chest, and we're gone. And it went bang, 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 cross come in, and he heads it in. And that's what you're talking about. That player should have been Gylfi Sigurdsson. So when Bournemouth have pushed us back, Pickford then should be missing that whole area out and hitting Sigurdsson, who should get the turn and then have us away. Because we had players like Walcott and we had Richarlison, who really should have been making up a front three with Keane, and we didn't. We just asked about with it.
Let's just have a look at the numbers from the game. So 70% possession for Everton, 13 shots, the same as Bournemouth. 5 shots on target, they had 7. Two corners, so they had 5. And you know, it shows you with the possession. We had a lot of the ball second half, and it was a lot of huff and puff and a lot of crosses into the box. And that's what makes it more frustrating, is that bit of composure in the second half and we easily get ourselves back in the game. Bit of composure at the end of the first half and we don't go behind again.
Do you know that it was our highest chances created from open play?
Was it?
So we'd had 13 shots, 12 from open play. Bournemouth 5 from open play, so they relied on set plays. But if you actually think about it, second half, did we really create a good opportunity? I don't think so. I mean, we had...
I think we had what couple that flashed across, but
nothing. I mean, we're talking about the first half. You know, we went a goal behind with Richarlison using his arm. I mean, I didn't at the time. I was thinking, what's he give that for? Yeah. And then when you see it again, it was a stonewall penalty, no complaints at all. I don't know what he was trying to do, but we'd given the corner away from Nottingham, free kicks away cheaply. We go behind. And then we had the opportunity. Keane done really well on the corner of the box and laid one back to Richie. This shot was blocked. And then Keane did really well, the one where it's played into him and he turns and dinks it over the top for Walcott. It was a great ball into Walcott's path and he's in on the keeper. And instead of just hammering it at Ramsdale, he tries to roll it between his legs. And it's those opportunities. You smash that beyond him at 1-1. You get a little bit of momentum. You know, and we did get that little bit of momentum with a good bit of play from him. Seamus Coleman. Got it to Sigurdsson, got it wide. Coleman come in, nice reverse pass to Walcott. Keane does brilliantly, goes short and pulls away. The lad doesn't know he's there. Lovely ball across and it's 1-1. And you're like, the first bit of football we've played, we've carved them open. You know, in the box, or the second rather, and we'd carved them open with the other one. But then there was no push. Bournemouth had been a better side, and I think Carragher said that in the commentary. At that stage, it's like, there's no way Everton deserved to be level here, because we didn't.
No.
You know, they'd had Brooks, who I thought was good in the first, he tired, but I thought the first half he was lively. Josh King, I thought was excellent for him. But, you know, it's little things in the game. At 0-0, Jordan Pickford makes a brilliant save, one-on-one with Wilson. It's a great save, really is, and you're like, right, he'll be on it now.
That's your warning.
We get level and we give a free kick away, which I didn't think was a free kick, to be fair. It was ridiculous. The referee was pathetic again. But we give a free kick away, which like I said, I don't think it's a free kick. Ball into the box, no one. You know, Branthwaite lets him run across him, but there's 2 of them.
But what I would say is, it's how many soft free kicks do we seem to give away in those areas? Players not being able to stand up, players not working together to close people down. Do you know how many times in the game did you see their players just press and we have to go backwards, where we don't do that? We commit one and it's normally Tom Davis and then he sticks a foot in and it's a foul. And the amount of fouls we give away in that area because we don't know how to press is mad. And it's cost us, you know, it's cost us 2 goals in the last 3 games.
Do you think the goalkeeper should have done better with the header?
Baz, 100%. I think he should do better, but you're not allowed to say that. He stops. he goes for it, stops, and then goes for it. He doesn't make one continuous move. You watch it, you slow it down.
I've looked at it again.
He goes, and then he stops like he doesn't know what's going to happen next. Well, of course, we all know what's going to happen. It's going to... I've seen us concede two goals and score a goal in exactly the same circumstances in the last few weeks. The only place it's going to go in is in that far corner. The pace, trajectory...
Coming in, it's going across,
It's going across, but he stops. He goes, stops, and then has to go. But if he goes in one continuous move, he saves that. He saves... It's awful goalkeeping.
Bad goalkeeping.
It's awful goalkeeping.
It's ended up in the net for him. And that's what I'm saying about him. It's like a great save at 0-0. And then a save that you should be saving, really. It's in the back of the net. And you hope that would wake them up a bit. And to be fair, they come out, went in 2-1. Bournemouth deservedly led 2-1 at half-time. Yeah. And we come out in the second half. And I don't think we played well, don't get me wrong. We weren't. No. We were still garbage because the intensity wasn't there. No. But we were the better side in the second half.
They tired massively. They put all... They had that, hadn't they? They put all their energy into first half, getting in the lead, and then the second half was containment. And to be fair, they did, because what they did was, they all stayed back, and then they'd allow their front men to just, like I've just said, as soon as our full-backs got the ball, they'd go and press them, and because we don't have a midfield, and because we don't have movement, we had to go back to the goalkeeper and start again, and that's all they did, all that second half. And then when we sort of run out of ideas, like we always do, they went, well, we'll have a little go now, and it led to a goal. And that's you're talking about making chances. We've had a few crosses into the box, and one where if Richarlison is a little bit sharper, he can make a first-time shot, but he doesn't. He knocks into Moise Keane, he goes wide.
Ball as well, like Dink did.
Yeah, he goes wide, and there's not much he can do. And then we're faffing about instead. They go down the other end of the pitch, and the lad gives Gordon a run around and just has a shot. And listen, we should, the keeper should be throwing his cap on it. Really, should be throwing his cap on it. But it's somehow squirmed through it, and that's the difference. They're 3-1 up. They've got their win, and there's nothing down for us. We've made probably too many changes, and you're just ebbing away the season, aren't you?
Should have had a penalty. Let's be honest. It's 3-1. Flick into the box. It was on board. The lad's knocked it away with his hand. It was a penalty. Should have been. We've had one all season. We were never getting one, and we were never getting one in that game, especially with that referee. But we wouldn't have deserved it, because we got in to the final third a few times, and the pass selection was just terrible. Or when we got the opportunity to cross, couldn't find anyone. And I think the manager tried something. It didn't work. I'd have changed it at half time, but we went on. But then he took Moise Keane off, and I just didn't get it. I honestly didn't get it. He was our best player. And to be fair, it wasn't hard to be our best player yesterday. There's his numbers.
Well, we'll just look at his numbers there. Touches 28, goals 1, shots 4, on target 3, which is a great ratio. The lad had that one early on, hadn't he, where makes the keeper make a save, which is important. He had a couple of headers as well, which were a little bit, one in the first half, one in the second half, which were a little bit soft.
But he was hitting the target.
But he was in the right place for the goal. Yeah. It's what you want your striker to do. And I thought, certainly playing up on his own, I thought he had a good game. To be honest. Recoveries 2, aerial duels 2, interceptions 1. Chances created 3, attempted dribbles 7, successful dribbles 3. So,
we score a goal and you create 3 opportunities for your teammates. As a front man, I think he's done well. I'd like to have seen him stay on. We took him off. We were 2-1 down. It was the right decision to bring Dom on. Don't get me wrong. We were 2-1 down, but Sigurdsson, for me, should have been dragged off the pitch. Well, to be fair, any of the midfield 3 could have been dragged off. And I'd have liked to see Moise Keane have a bit of help up there and really gone for it, with Richarlison on one side and Anthony Gordon. Maybe even swap Richarlison and Gordon just for something to do. Try Richarlison on the right, maybe.
Just
and
something to do.
Well, just for something different,
Yeah,
you know. But to be honest, I also wanted to see Ellis Sims for the last 15 minutes, but we'd used our subs, haven't we, obviously.
Wasted our subs.
Well, we brought plays on and nearly...
No, we
We took Coleman off, which maybe that was because King was... But then King hadn't done nothing in the second half. You understand why he took Dean off, because he said he was going to give Baines time. So Baines was the guaranteed sub.
But bring him like Bernard.
But then Bernard was the... Unless that was a farewell to Bernard. But that was... I mean, lovely little footballer, but off the Premier League's too fast.
He's done nothing in lockdown.
He's done nothing since he come back. Absolutely nothing. And he done nothing in this game. Came on. I don't even know if he touched the ball.
No, I can't remember if he touched the ball.
Dreadful. And that was a waste of a sub, because I'd rather have seen Ellis Sims run around for 15 minutes and chase something. But it was to be honest though, it was a fitting end to the season, because it's been terrible. It started with Gylfi Sigurdsson sitter at Palace after a minute, and it never really got any. The best it got was the win over Chelsea with Duncan, and obviously the appointment of Carlo Ancelotti. Yeah. And we've stumbled and fell over the finish line. They done a league table, didn't they, from lockdown? Everton at 11th. So just basically,
well,
that's what they are.
Beginning of lockdown, I actually said 12 points. I think 3 wins, 3 draws, and 3 defeats. So,
I thought we'd win.
Because that's what we are, and that's what we've been for 3-4 years now. We're a 1-3 team, which means you're a mid-table team. That's what we are, and we're not breaking out of that. Okay, we're not a 1-3 team, I don't think, under Ancelotti.
No, well, Ancelotti across the season, we finished 7th.
Yeah.
So, but then we haven't been across the season.
No,
so
no.
Irrelevance means nothing.
Means nothing.
I think for this one, I mean, we've lost 3-1 twice to a team that's gone down, and that's horrific. 6 goals for a team that couldn't score goals. You know, 6 points we've given them for a team that got 34 points all season. They got 6 off Everton. It's shambolic, and those players, the players should be embarrassed with that shirt on yesterday. But you know what? They didn't look arsed, and that's the worry for me.
No,
is that there's just too many of them not bothered.
Well, we've just been talking about this off air, and I know it shouldn't. It mightn't matter to people at the club. Maybe it does. I don't know, but things like the captain's armband, I think, are a massive thing for not a massive thing in the overall scheme of things, but to fans, when they look at the club and they wonder what goes on in the club, and they see things like Gylfi Sigurdsson walking out with the captain's armband and things like that, that I think just sets the wrong tone for a lot of fans. We want characters. We want, and it's funny really, because with Baines leaving, and we'll talk about that more in a minute, but that his generation of players who came through at Everton, there was so many leaders in there. I've seen the picture going around of when Tim Pienaar and Jagielka signed, and you couldn't think of 3 better players, really, could you? For that is a deadline, isn't it? That's a transfer window. Those 3, and you look at those 3 players and you see Jags is a natural leader, Baines is a quiet leader, and Pienaar is a fighter who sets an example, isn't he, for of how to just play the game. Do you know what I mean? Didn't go missing, would say his bit. And I look at the squad now and I just see no characters. And when you're giving the armband to people like Gylfi Sigurdsson, for me, I think you're just saying you're basically saying to the fans, oh, we're just giving it to the, whoever, Seamus Coleman 1 week and Sigurdsson the next week. I think that has to change next season. I think someone like Holgate has to get the armband and has to be the new sort of face of Everton Football Club. We were talking about then about someone just talking then about how Manchester United have turned it around and only took 3 or 4 players. But I think what they did do before the likes Fernandes come in or Pogba come back from injuries, they made people like Rashford. They've put them and said to them, take this on for us. Take this on. You're now the leaders in this club now. Forget about everyone else. You're the leadership. You will lead this club forward. And I think we need that. I think we need Carlo Ancelotti to say, these young players are going to take this club forward. Forget about people like Gylfi Sigurdsson. Forget about whoever else. These have got to be the example moving forward. Even if that's someone like Richarlison, whoever, they're the future of the football club. And we've got to stop having this thing of like, oh, well, 1 week it's going to be Seamus Coleman, the next week it's going to be Gylfi Sigurdsson. They're not our future and they don't represent us at the moment. We love Seamus Coleman. We love him to bits. But I think it's time now you move on from that and go, he's a player who plays for us and we love him and he'll be a leader. But we want someone to take us forward. I remember when Liverpool took the captain's armband off Sami Hyypiä and while he was still there and said, we're giving it to Steven Gerrard because he represents the future of this football club. And I think that has to happen at Everton now. And some people might look at the captain's armband and might go, oh, it doesn't mean anything. But I just think it sets the example.
I think for us as well, we're a I don't want to say strange club, because it's not strange, but we're a set of fans that need to identify with people. I think the leader thing is right. I think the captain thing is right to us because we want to see our values represented by the captain. I think they done it with Henderson, didn't he? They give it to Henderson and we're like, right, he's the captain now. And, at first I remember a few of my mates who were Reds are like, well, why is he getting there? He's not fit to lace Gerrard's boots. But he was the way he plays. There's a leadership quality about him, whether you agree with him or you don't, you think he's great or you don't. Other teams have that where you look at that team and you identify with that person. I think with Everton, I think our issue has been passionate from pillar to post. I think if Seamus Coleman had been 25 when he got it, fair enough. But he got it because Jags wasn't the captain no more and Seamus is 31. So Seamus Coleman will lead whether he's got the armband on or not, because he's that type where he's an honest boy. He works hard, he expects people to give everything for it. He probably doesn't need it. You're right, we do need that person who, as fans, we want, let's be honest, as Evertonians, we like someone with a bit of needle. We like someone who will tell you to, don't we? We do. We've seen it with, why does everybody love Holgate? Because he's got that bit of needle. Shove Firmino into a stand, he stands up for people, he's in people's favour, kicks off, he's the first one there. Other players look the other way when it kicks off or can't be arsed or they're not having a go at the referee or they're not like, why have you give that? Why aren't you give? It's almost like, oh, okay, I wouldn't accept anything. Be marching a ref all over the pitch, having a go. It might get me booked, but you know what? He'll know. He'll know what our players are the easiest team in the world to give things against. Easy, because everyone's got their head down. And people misinterpret that as respect. No, it's respecting the referee. No, it's not. It's not. It's
everyone else does it.
Worrying about yourself. You shouldn't make yourself difficult. And I think Holgate for me is the only choice now. If Tom Davies was a great player and performing every week, then he'd be a choice. But he's not. Struggling like anything. But Mason Holgate, I think, is big enough leader in our team now to go, you are the captain. You're the captain of this football club. And we're going to go with it. And then you'd have to then buy players who have got that bit of needle. They've got to be good enough. Of course, you can't just look around and go, who kicks out of someone, like, we'll buy him. But you have to have those players. And we haven't got enough of that in our team.
We haven't got anything like that. And it's funny because we've done the video last week on Patreon about players that we'd look at if they possibly relegated, which was Jack Grealish. And we put that
yesterday, by the way.
We put that clip on YouTube and it got a mixed reaction.
I think overall, I think people agreed.
No, I don't think people didn't agree. I think a lot of people thought we'd have no chance on earth of getting them, which is fine.
And we didn't say that, did we?
But what I would say is, though, there's a lad who represents his club and does represent their club. He is everything they want their club to. He epitomises what the fans want. And you seen him yesterday come big and get a goal, and that's what we don't have at the club. When people see Gylfi Sigurdsson running out as the captain, they just go, why? So the first thing they've got is a negative thought in their mind, negative. Whereas I think if you started seeing someone like Mason Holgate running out, you go, right, there's someone who represents the fans straight away, because he's what you want on the pitch. And people used to say Phil Jagielka was a little bit soft. and wouldn't get into the face of the referee and that kind of thing. He was a different way of doing things, and you know, whatever you think on that. But
yeah, but the thing with Jags was, yeah, he was. Some people go, he's not a very good captain, but he was a great player, and so he did have the armband, and he was a great player. If Gylfi Sigurdsson was brilliant, people wouldn't question it. They mightn't say he's a great captain. They mightn't say that, but they'd know. It was like when Rooney...
Be one or the other.
Exactly. If you're not performing well, but you are doing all the other bits, people will let you get away with it. If you're a captain and but people think you're quiet, but you're smashing it because you're performing, you're an 8 out of 10 most weeks, no one will say he's not a very good captain. You kind of overlook that and go, what you'd say then is, we need more leaders in this team. The problem is, and listen, I'm certainly not sitting here going, if we had a better captain, we'd be better. Not what it's about, but it's just the little things that aren't helping. And I think Carlo Ancelotti will know this anyway, but I think sometimes the captain at this club is different to what maybe Ancelotti's experienced before when he's been we read this book and he was like, well, yeah, you don't have to have the armband, you should have 6 or 7 of them, it doesn't matter. I think perception to Evertonians is important.
But I also think that it's the person who... I think we've got such a meek and mild set of players that if you have one player who's out there and he's setting the tone, then maybe others would follow. And I actually think someone like Mason Holgate, who's younger, would embarrass a lot of senior players if he was allowed to represent. When I say embarrass, what I mean is he'd put them in there, he'd shame some of them. Because as a player, as a captain, as a leader, I think someone like him would... We've seen the other week...
down to it.
No, I know, but like you've just said, he's got that edge to him. Seen it the other week, Michael Ball was talking about it, saying playing in a game and probably he didn't go in for a tackle or something, and then the next minute he sees Gary Speed going in for one. It was like, I better start then, hadn't I? Because if the captain's doing it, and you know he's saying to me, what are you doing? We don't have players like that. We don't have anyone like that in our team who will turn around to someone else and just go, or do something and look at someone and go, why aren't you doing it? Because if you did it, and you did it, and you did it, we'd win this game. And I think someone like, then you can point to someone and go, at least you could get behind. I remember when Duncan became captain, and whatever anyone thought about Duncan, you know, he started scoring goals, and the fans got behind him because he was our leader, and he was doing his job.
In his first game,
and then he started doing he was doing his job, and he took that captaincy. He was like, you know, biggest thing at the time. He took that, and it meant the world to him. And then he dragged everybody else with him, and we don't have... listen, I remember when Neville became the captain, and a lot of people questioned that, but he put everyone to shame because I know we all have this idea of Phil Neville towards the end and what he did, and
Neville was really good for Everton last year.
But Moyes gave him the captaincy because straight away you could see that he'd been there and done it and seen it, and he dragged everybody else, tried to drag everyone else with him, and there's no one like that at the moment who you can look at as a player and go, they'll do that for us this week, and that's a massive problem. And unless you sort of give, I don't know, I just think there might be players in our team who might be young and want that, but they don't feel like they can yet, and maybe that's a lack of leadership or character in themselves. But those players have got to be given the opportunity to do that, and that's something I think is a massively important thing for next season. But listen, we've just been talking about this fella, Jordan Pickford. Do we need a new goalkeeper? Is it now a priority position? And I've seen lots of different people talking about this. And I honestly don't. I haven't seen anyone actually back him really. I think people have said it's a less of a priority than other positions, and that's fair enough. I can understand that point, because no one truly knows what's the pot of money he's like. What I would say from my point of view is, I think when it comes to a team that wants to do anything, if you've got 10 outfielders and then your goalkeeper who are good, and then your goalkeeper throws one in every week or every other week, then what's the point?
It's a problem.
What's the point? Because, you know, we all laughed when Minshall was doing it all the time. You know, it was hilarious.
They did get in the Champions League with Minshall.
No, I know, but we all laughed when Minshall did. We all laughed when when we beat Man City 4-0 and Bravo was in goal and everything that went on target seemed to be a goal. And they got to that end of the first season and Pep pretty quickly rectified that. Klopp rectified Liverpool's goalkeeping situation. We've seen when
Chelsea are trying to do it now.
Chelsea are doing it. They dropped Kepa for the final game of the season. We've seen it the other way around when David De Gea was brilliant for Man United and basically got them into the Champions League, was it? With we all remember when we got beat 2-1 that time and he pulled that, he won them something like 12 to 15 points that season because of his saves. So we know how it works the other way. But I just think we need a goalkeeper who you can just rely on. And I don't think we can rely on him anymore.
Okay, my view is if we had a big pot of money, then replacing him would be a priority. No question about it. Right? But the fact is, we haven't. FFP won't allow us to have. And therefore, some people will see it differently than I do. You might even see it differently than I do. But I just think there's other priorities that need fixing first. He is an issue because you can't rely on him. Right? I don't think it helps having Jonas Lersel there. João Virginia. Neither of them are good enough. João Virginia is a 20-year-old kid, but I'm not convinced he'd be ready to come in and replace Pickford. He had a little go at Reading last year and had a nightmare there. And then he put him back in at Wolves in a cup game. He done what the lad hit it from 30 yards and he let it slip under him. So that is not what we need.
Yeah, that's obviously an issue.
Exactly. So, and I'm not saying Virginia won't become a good goal, but he's a kid at the minute. It's a problem. Lersel's not, for me, shouldn't be an Everton goalkeeper because we're trying to be a team that's going that way. I'm not saying he's not competent because he played in the Premier League for Huddersfield. He's all right. But the money issue's an issue.
But what if...
Because the midfield is terrible.
No, I appreciate that, but what if we could twin track it? Listen, we get a new goalkeeper, we sell him. It's as simple as that.
If someone bids for him, without a shadow, if Chelsea come in and went, we're trying to get Oblak, right, and it's 120 million, I'm not paying that, we'll offer you 50 million for him, 40 million for him, I'd sell him. I'd sell him and I'd go to maybe Burnley and say how much you want for Nick Pope. Now, they might say, well, you've got 40 for him, we want 40 for Pope, because he's going to be the England
I'm sure.
keeper. I don't know.
I'm sure there's
Thomas Strakosha in Lazio, who's an excellent goalkeeper, but they're in the Champions League. I don't know
but I'm sure Andy, the Piv, will give us a list. We'll probably do something with them on it.
There's a Kudos Dragovic as well at Fiorentina, who's a good goalkeeper. And Fiorentina aren't a big side. You'd get him. There's goalies there.
Yeah, of course there are.
There's that Ram. I'm not advocating Ramsdale because he's another young keeper, but the Bournemouth keeps 20. He's a bit bigger than him and stuff. So I'm not saying we should go for him.
We've been linked with like Romero from Man United.
Romero was another one who's very good.
He'll want first team football at some point. And
well, he's 33. So no, but what I'm saying is he's 33. He's going to want first team football, and if we can't sell him, we need a better number.
But you're right. You are right though, because I think you look at him as a player, and I think a lot of it's just what we've been talking about there. He lets that one in yesterday for the third goal, right? At a key stage in the game, time when we'd been doing all right and we're trying to get the equaliser, he lets it in, right? And there's nothing matters. It doesn't matter. That's the problem. That's his problem. That's his problem, right? Is I genuinely feel if he went to a club who were in the Champions League, and if they were in the Champions League, right? And there was something on the game, and there was expectations of him, like there are when he plays for England, then I think he'd go up. But I think him playing for Everton, it doesn't help him and it doesn't help us. And I genuinely believe that. We all know there's a goalie in there. No one's criticising him as a goalie. I don't think technically. I think when you talk to maybe like people like Neville Southall and stuff, they'll say the same. I think he's just like, my priority is playing for England, and and that's why I've continually said, the minute he gets dropped by England, which he should do soon, is the minute that he switches on and realises that something has to change. And we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see what happens. But
I've seen a few people, I've put something out last night about it, and loads and loads and loads of replies on Twitter, conversations, but I've seen quite a few people saying he thinks he's too good for us. And that's why it doesn't matter to him.
yeah,
I don't know whether that's right or it's wrong, but that's an opinion that Everton, I've seen other people saying, I haven't despised an Everton player the way I despise him. No, I don't despise him, but some people do, and that's not good or healthy for your team. And
no.
I think if you had, we've said it before, Ben Foster, right, and they've gone down, so maybe there is a goal where you can go and grab there, but if we had Ben Foster, if he looked across at the bench and was like, manager's got a decision here, maybe it'd make him. I'm not saying he'd be top draw, but he'd have his mind focused. He knows Stecklenburg was. He's just finished the 38th game of the season again. He hasn't missed a league game for Everton, which is great on one hand if he's playing well. That he's in every week, but he's had no one pushing him, and he's been poor all season. So, but I still think when you've got a pot of money there, and you're trying to build a team. You go priorities first. Can we go another season with him in goal if he performs the way we know he can? Yes. Can we go another season with Everton's midfield? No, not a chance, because we'll struggle.
No.
So that's why. But if you said to me, yeah, but you're gonna have, it's different. The real question here is, if someone bids for him, would you sell him? So if you ever can get an acceptable bid, i.e. more than what we paid for him, would you sell him?
Yeah.
So there you go, right? And I honestly believe, judging by the amount of people who spoke to me on Twitter, and that's all I can go by, and that's not 40,000, so I would never speak for everyone. But I believe a lot of people, if you ask them, would say, if we got more than we paid for him, I'd sell him like that, because I'd rather have a steady goalie. But that's a different question than, is he a priority? Because I think the midfield's a priority.
I think the funny thing is, and we've just spoke about it then, for a club like when Man City and Liverpool, it's almost like the thing that will win you something. It's not the thing that gets you there.
No.
It helps. It helps if you've got a good helps if you've got a good goalkeeper who's can stop a poor team losing games. And again, that's something we really need. But it is that finishing thing. It is that thing. It is right. It's the thing you'd almost do last. But at the same time, it's a balancing act. When does he become that point where it's like, we would have won this game if it hadn't been for him? No, we would have lost this game. We would have won this game if it hadn't been for the goalkeeper. And I just worry that in the next 12 months, he'll start going into that territory. Because I think this season, there's been games where we've been all right in them, or like we were yesterday in the second half, and we're trying to get back in the game. And he does that. And that's where my frustration comes from. And I just look at it and think, if we could get money for him, which is obviously what we need to do.
I wrote that one at the end and thing, he hit it over the bar and he dived, it's this back. It was about 40 foot over the bar, and it's like, Southall would have been walking forward the minute that left the lad's foot, knowing it's miles over the bar. And he's like diving, and you're like, it doesn't even seem like you know where your angles are. He is weird, he's weird, but then he'll pull off a worldie of a save like he did.
But that doesn't make you a good goalkeeper.
No,
no, it doesn't. I could make a worldie of a save. You could make... No, you...
I can't. Size of me.
You could make... No, you could have saved that.
It'd be like close.
The point being is, though, people can make worldies of saves. Anyone can
obviously, he's a good goalie.
Anyone can make worldies of saves, right? It's the other thing. It's the concentration to just do the simple thing and make it simple. That's the thing. What did Neville used to do? Neville used to catch things with one hand. And go, well, what did you expect? It was nothing. There was nothing on,
No, I mean, when Nev was in here, I asked him about him, and he was like, he's a reactive goalkeeper. That's the problem.
We said about before, the second goal, he should have saved it.
Not anticipated.
I am massively critical of goalkeepers. Because they're just, I look at some of the goalkeepers out there, and it baffles me how bad they are. In the Premier League,
but seen the Newcastle keeper yesterday.
Well, Fabianski as well. But everyone's entitled to make a mistake.
Henderson.
everyone's entitled to make a
Easy
mistake
goal,
now and
yeah.
again, right? What they aren't allowed to do is walk around after they've made the mistake, thinking they're somehow God's gift to the earth, or pull stupid faces.
Yeah, but that might just be his coping mechanism. I'm not talking about that. I just think for us, it's becoming an issue, and that's the problem, and it needs nipping in the bud. Either you get him to one side, you get him a challenger who actually thinks, hang on, he might actually take my place here, or you sell him, because it's difficult because, like I said, we haven't got that pot of money, and we're going into a situation where we're having the season, you know, we're back in training in 3 weeks. If Romero was available and fancied it, and we thought, well, you know what, if we buy him, he actually could become our number one for a few years because he's good, then that's fine, isn't it? He's not going to leave United to be our number two, that's for sure. So you'd have to make a decision on him. I think the only way that particular situation is solved is if you get a bid from maybe Chelsea for him, who have been linked with him. I'm not sure they'd want him, but they've been linked with him quite a bit. If they can't get maybe Oblak, who they've looked at, then maybe they'd come for him.
But I do.
And he probably would be decent at Chelsea.
I think he'd be better at a team where he's got to be better. I think unfortunately he goes through the motions at Everton.
And that's not good.
It's been enough to keep him in the England team. And I just don't think... I don't know if he's ever really... It's hard to know. I don't know if he's ever really bought into Everton. I don't know. I don't know if he has or he hasn't. Personally, I get the feeling that he hasn't ever bought into Everton.
Yeah, but Everton isn't what he was sold, is it?
No.
That's been a problem. And there's a few players like that.
I'm not... But I think there's far too many players like that at Everton who aren't bought, who haven't bought in.
Because maybe...
And that's where we are now.
We haven't...
No.
Again, if you buy a player... The problem is, right, let's just wrap this up. But the problem is, seeing Alan Myers put something on Twitter yesterday, and he was absolutely right, and he was talking about why are Leicester and Wolves ahead of us and Sheffield United. And it's, what have they all got? They've all had continuity, right? Okay, Leicester, Rodgers has only been there a certain amount of time, but the other two certainly have had a bit of continuity. We haven't had any continuity. Our MO changes every 18 months. Yeah. And if you're Jordan, and I'm not defending him, by the way, but I'm saying if you're Jordan Pickford, he was bought by Ronald Koeman because this was this project. Don't forget when we got Pickford, we just finished 7th. We were in Europe, we were the best of the rest, and we had a big pot of money, and we had Ronald Koeman. So him coming to Everton was, well, this is this up-and-coming team that's ready to try and challenge for a Champions League place, and I'm going to be the goalie, England's goalie, and I'm going to do this. And we've had a few of those players. You know, when the players come in under Marco Silva, this new era now, and we've got a hungry young manager, and we've got them, we're going to do this. And we're still with... For us, it's Groundhog Day, isn't it? How many times have we sat in here over the last few years and gone, can't wait for the season to be over? It's just nonsense. How many last days have you watched Everton perform like they did yesterday? Too many. And that's the issue. And I don't know how I honestly don't know how we get there, other than going through this terrible period and putting all of our faith in Carlo that it goes all right. But
it's the only way you can do it. It's buying good players and
who can make a difference,
and buying leaders and letting leaders assert themselves. Though I think that's the most important thing, is letting leaders assert themselves.
So managers can't do it.
No, they can't nowadays. Let's just have some patron comments. Michael Swan says Pickford knows if he makes a mistake, there's no danger of him being dropped. The same goes for most of our players currently, until there's some strong competition in every position. We won't get near Champions League. Just trying to get top half, Mike.
No, but he's right though, Mike.
No. Steve Kelly says Pickford has never recovered from the Anfield mistake, and that is over a year and a half ago.
Do you think, just before you carry on, that Anfield mistake, do you think that was the moment that Evertonians just went, nah, you're not for us?
No,
subconsciously.
No.
It destroyed him.
I think it just destroyed him because that was when the facade of his invincibility went. Because that's when everybody else started laughing at him. That's when up to that point, we'd all been quite big bollocks about him and being like, oh, he's England #1 and all this. That was the moment that people who'd already been questioning him away from Everton, the whole T-Rex arms and all that, could go, See, there you go.
We
It was when he'd said, I won't make mistakes like Alisson and all that. That was when they could go, see, he's not very good. And it just destroyed his confidence. And it destroyed everything that he'd built up being that England
But
player.
I think there's a trust issue then with our fans, some of our fans as well from that moment.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he'd get on his back, that's not what
Yeah.
I'm saying, but I think just in your mind.
Yeah, because you build up invincibility. It is confidence. It becomes a shield. It becomes a shield. You.
And we played really well that day. And if he'd have just palmed that over the bar for a corner, it was over, wasn't it? 0-0, and you go, you would get excellent today. Because he'd made a couple of big saves in that one.
Spirit Blues says getting dropped for club and country would give him the kick up the backside he needs potentially. William Gillingham says Foster is a really good keeper, definitely worth his punt. The only problem is that Foster, we could have got on a free, but now he's signed a 2-year deal. Unless I doubt there'd be some kind of relegation clause in it. But he also says, get Pickford gone. He's a liability and has god-awful attitude. Not much point getting decent defenders if your keeper will have a wobble every week. Spirit Blues says could sign Foster or Krull and would be an improvement. Let alone anyone else. He's a terrible goalkeeper.
Krull would be better than anyone we've got on the bench. Anyone.
Yeah.
And he would. He's a big lad as well. You know, and with a better defence in front of him, he's been behind Norwich's defence this season. Don't know.
Well, let's just finish off by obviously talking about Leighton Baines. He announced after the game, and we'll do more on this, but we just obviously covered it on the final. But he announced after the game it was he had retired, which don't think really surprised us, but just in typical Leighton Baines fashion. No mention of it before the game, no fanfare. He came on, he done his job, and then after the game it was announced and it was put out there, and you know he put a very short statement out on the club site, and that's it. He's done, and he's walking away from football, and he'll be missed, won't he? Because he's been a tremendous player and tremendous even ambassador for Everton Football Club.
Yeah, fabulous footballer, lovely left foot, good lad. You know, could have gone to United, didn't get the move, and got his head down. Seen someone having a pop at him that he down tools under certain managers, but each to their own. But he was great for Everton, and I think he went out the way he probably wanted it to be, which is it kind of suited him, I think. No fans there, no fanfare, just to slip off, you know, and do what he... I know Everton and Carlo was keen to have him back as a coach and all that. I don't know whether that fits in with what he wants to do. No. I think he'd be a marvellous under-18 coach or academy development under-23 manager, because he might actually develop players. No, I think it'd be great to have in the club because of his knowledge of the game, and he's such a great footballer. But it wouldn't surprise me if he never does anything in football and just takes pictures of the world and just enjoys his life. You've seen all the, you know, ex-players and stuff coming out and speaking about him after the game. Tweets on Twitter, loads of stuff there from other players and things like that. You know, absolutely brilliant. Credit to his family and himself, and a credit to Everton Football.
Yeah, I think he'll go away and do what he needs to do, and maybe one day he'll come...
I follow Duncan's route.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, and maybe there'll be a point where he goes, I miss football. But I think you have to go out and experience things that you haven't been able to experience as a footballer. You know,
live a bit of
your life, and maybe that's something that he appreciated when we were in lockdown, maybe, and was like, I don't miss this. And I don't know. Also, you know, it's not the same football club it was when he joined. No. You know, the people he was with.
The game's not the same, is it?
Yeah, everything's... And I don't mean that in a wholly negative way. I just mean that there's only really Seamus Coleman left, and, you know, there's been a lot of ins and a lot of outs, and, you know, players, fans love him. Fans love him, and he's leaving you know, and it's all right, you know, it's all right for us to say, oh, isn't it sad that he left and it was an empty stadium and all that, but he's decided to do that. You know, some players would have signed for another year just to get that adoration from the crowd, you know, that farewell tour. You know, he clearly is just like, no, this is the time. It doesn't matter. There's no fans in.
He'll know himself,
Yeah.
won't he? Every day in training, if he don't feel sharp anymore, he might think, well, you know what? I've played a few games this season. Now, he's only made 8 appearances all season, but he's had a couple of 4 starts, I think. Scored a great goal against Leicester in the cup. You know, he's had another little go. He hasn't let anyone down, and he might be thinking, these wingers are getting quicker, and I don't really want to go to that place where all of a sudden I can't perform.
Yeah.
You know, he's had a great career, hasn't he? What a signing from Wigan, 6 million or something from Wigan in 2007. You know, and we're still talking about him in 2020, having just retired.
And he's signing off with that the tackle. Yes, he was amazing, by the way.
Hell of a challenge.
No, we'll do more on Pickford and maybe
more
on Baines. We'll definitely do more on Pickford. Sorry, I was just looking at some comments. Yeah. We'll do more on Baines when on a video on its own and just
his own trippy video.
Yeah, definitely. Just some more comments. He said, Lindsay65 says, I agree with both of you regarding Pickford. He needs competition in his spot, or you end up with a player who knows he's in the team regardless, so doesn't care enough. Really annoys me with his attitude. Terry McAllister says, look at the way Pickford speaks whenever he's interviewed. The lad thinks he's great regardless of how bad he is. He won't change because he doesn't think he needs to. The only thing to do is replace him or get the deluded fool out of the door. Terry's words. Very, very strong words there.
Frank words from Terry.
Just in general, Joe Cody says, I think a few of them have already been told they're getting binned. William Gilligan says, do you think the fans should have a say who the captain is? No, it'd be like Captain McDuckface, wouldn't it then, or something? So there's a vote. Gary Ward says the club has got to get Bainesy back for a testimonial once fans are allowed. He needs a standing ovation. Yeah.
I don't know about the real.
No, I don't think he'd be bothered. I just don't think he's like that. Yeah, I don't think he's like that. Michael Swan says, unbelievable how little movements we've had all season. Top sides have 3 options to pass forward to. We can either pass to a centre-back or play a hopeful ball over the top. We don't even look like a football team. No, we don't. Kane says, if a striker becomes available in the market who can guarantee you 25 plus goals a season, would you throw money at him or would you still prioritise getting 2 midfielders in?
2 midfielders, Kane. I would love it, don't get me wrong. But there's not that many of those strikers around, by the way. But, you know, Lukaku we'd love, but he's 100 million. We haven't got that money. So, for me, though, it's got to be. I think up front, we've got Richarlison who can put the ball in the net. We've got Dom who can score. I think Moise Keane looked really good yesterday. I think with a bit of protection around him, i.e. someone to help him and create, I think he might do all right. We might be a situation where someone comes in for Moise Keane, they swap him out for someone else. But for me, it's that midfield. It's you're seeing people. I've seen a lot of people who are really down on the team, and rightly so. But if you add 2 midfield players that can run around the pitch and run up and down, it makes a big difference. Look at Southampton now, because Hasselhoff's got younger, fitter players in that middle of the park. All of a sudden, they're causing problems for everybody. They're not great. You don't go through that Southampton team going, I wish you had him, I wish we had him, or he's brilliant. You look and go, I do. Well, you might, but I don't. I look at them and go, would they swap Richarlison for Danny Ings? No. You know, he's 15 penalties or something. Would they swap Redmond for Calvert-Lewin or someone like that? No. Would they want Ward-Prowse instead of Sigurdsson? 100%. But there's not, what I mean is there's not loads you go through that team and go, what a team. But Hasselhoff's got them fit and mobile, and they're able to cause teams problems. Yeah. So
Spirit Blues says Grealish will be a game changer for us, but let's be honest, there's just no chance. Like Gabriel, like Holberg, like Aarons, like Sarr, they will all go elsewhere. I'm not 100% on
Højbjerg will, because Everton have swerved.
Carlo and Marcel are up against it, and we have to appreciate that. Steve Kelly says, all right, lads, no leadership on the pitch. I looked on that pitch yesterday and just seen players strolling around. Not one player on the pitch yesterday questioned one and another, which shows where we are as a squad. Yeah. No, I that's my biggest, one of my biggest issues is players, when you concede soft goals, just look at each other and there's no real...
No accountability.
Yeah.
Everyone's just looking after themselves.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. It's been the final word. The last one of the season.
God for that. Horrible season.
Only 7 weeks though. Before we're doing it again.
Is it 7? Thought it was 6.
Oh, it's 7, whatever.
7.
I don't know, 6 or 7. There you go.
That can change in 7 weeks.
No, it could, and you will find out how much it changes here on Toffee TV. Let's stay tuned for all our season reviews as we look back on the season